For the very first time on this YouTube channel, you and we will get to compare 4 different cameras of Sony. The RX105, the RX106, the RX107 and the latest ZV-1. What's the best Sony camera for you? It's hard to know looking at them right now which one is ultimately the one that's right for you and your needs. Let's find out.
Sony will announce a new camera very soon. So let's look at the 4 models and see together the different options and the different prices, of course, because it will definitely help in making your final decision. Let's have a look at the evolution of these cameras. And before we jump into the subject, let me welcome you properly.
Bienvenue les amis, my name is Celine, I'm a Belgian TV journalist and every Monday I'm here to talk tech with you.
The RX100 family are cameras that cram all of the advanced features of a DSLR into a tiny point-and-shoot body. It may look like the low-range pocket camera you can pick up anywhere, but don't be fooled. It can cost well over $1,000 and do things that are normally only possible on pro cameras. Let's start with the older model we have in our hands, the RX Mark V. The RX100 Mark V becomes the world's first fixed lens compact to offer a 1-inch sensor with face detection autofocus, and it does so across 65% of the frame with a total of 350 points. It has a wide, short and much brighter lens, a 24 to 70 mm equivalent zoom with an aperture of 1.8 to 2.8. What does it offer? It is bringing significant benefits in low light and it allows a shallow depth of field. The downside is the lack of a touchscreen, the not very friendly user interface, and we will talk about it later, the limited 4K shooting time. Most recently, the Mark VI and Mark VII moved to slower but much more flexible 24 to 200 mm equivalent zooms. This puts the RX100 into what we call travel zoom cameras. If your aim is to capture images with great detail, for example in landscape photography, or to have the ability to crop images heavily in post-processing while still maintaining good image quality, those compact travel zoom cameras are a great choice. The Mark VI also saw the finder mechanism redesigned so that it can be deployed or stowed with a single button press. The 4, 5 and 6 can also shoot high frame rate video at up to 1000 frames per second, taken from increasingly low-res crops of the sensor then blown up to 1080p. The small body of the camera limits its ability to dissipate heat. This sees 4K video capture limited to around 5 minutes. The cameras will also switch off their rear screens to minimize heat buildup as they approach this limit, which can make outdoor video shooting difficult in summer when it's warmer. We don't have that problem with the ZV-1, for instance, although the battery doesn't last very long. Filming in 4K definitely shortens the battery life during the shoot. That would be a change Sony should take into account for the next model. A very good point for the Mark VII, it inherits Sony's real-time tracking technology, which allows the camera to seamlessly transition from subject tracking to face and eye detection on the fly, with very little input from the user. It's powerful and simple, and it's the first time on the RX100 that you don't have to assign a separate button to initiate eye autofocus. At first glance, the RX107 looks very much like all the other cameras in the series. It looks identical to the Mark VI. You'll need to search for the mix socket on the upper right shoulder to find the difference. Yay, that's a big plus. Everyone was looking forward to see a mix socket in the RX100 family. And Sony also thought about a good microphone for the next model. With the ZV-1, Sony has modified the RX100 series into something more specifically designed for taking video of yourself. Sony actually grabbed the parts from 2 different RX100 models to build the ZV-1. You get the sensor and smart autofocus of the latest RX100 Mark VII, but the brighter lens and ND filter from the RX100 Mark V. It has a 20 megapixel imaging sensor that uses a 24 to 70 millimeter with an aperture of 1.8 to 2.8. The camera's autofocus locks onto the subject to track its progress even when moving quickly, while its real-time tracking feature allows the user to lock onto the subject's eyes or face or to switch seamlessly between multiple subjects. The ZV-1 includes background defocus, similar to the popular portrait mode effect for photos on the iPhone or even video on Galaxy phones. It has a flip-out screen, which is better when you want to film yourself. There isn't any viewfinder like the other models, but there's a microphone. The record button is placed in a more strategic spot, so you don't have to think twice when pushing the big red button. The ZV-1 records video at up to 4K at 30 frames per second and HD at up to 120 frames per second. Great for slow motion. Now it's your turn to talk. What's your favorite compact camera? Let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to make sure you won't miss any of my videos.
Take care les amis. Salut!